March 8th, 2022. We're looking at Lake Worth. There's some of the boat houses and boat docks along that way. Please subscribe show, YouTube. Cole Spivey. That was good. That was real good. Welcome to the Please Subscribe show. We're headed to the Texas Motor Speedway to drop off food at your doorstep. I mean, I'm not to be critical, but people don't need to be driving that quick with gas being almost $4 a gallon right now. I just passed a place that said it was like $3.89. I'm sure you could find it a little bit cheaper, but still, I would probably just attempt to go to the speed limit, or at least around the speed limit. That butthole right there. Well, we're approaching the new bridge. And it looks like it's coming together a little bit better. Yeah, they've got like a new section that's crossing over from one part of the bridge to the other right here. That wasn't there earlier. So I guess so they can work on it right there. Well, so far, Sip and Save is still working out. I don't know how long it's been, but I'm gonna just go in there and I'll put in my phone number. So I decided to try out the number 6, which is like a premium hot dog. See if there's any better. You know, this would actually have happy hour, so you get drinks half off from 3 to 5 every day. Pretty cool. Well, I went ahead and got myself a premium one since I've been kind of doing the hot dog thing. It's like all American, so it's like some kind of relish, onions, mustard. A decent sized dog, I guess. $2.80. So I've been watching the news about the Ukraine. Over 1 million people have escaped Ukraine because of what's going on. You'd do the same if some bully country was dropping cluster bombs on your city. And that's kind of the result of it too right now. $4.09 on gas. That's at a QT too. Well, we're gonna head to the South Lake area. Cool bike. I just want to say this.
I went on a
I just want to say this.
speech
I will never
hear about how I felt.
I just want to say this. I will
that
never.
When a woman leaves and abandons and then asks for child support, it really hurts a man. Let me just put it that way.
Well, in these types of situations, the best thing to do is keep good spirits and don't let them get to you. I know there's other people out there struggling in my same situation, and the best thing to do is just keep on going, live a good, well life. That's the best revenge you can get. Remember, the opposite of poverty is not wealth, and never will be. The opposite of poverty will always be justice. I would rather marry a woman, or I will marry a woman that's decent in her choices and how she sees God and how she treats other men, especially her supposed husband that she's supposed to make a promise with for the rest of her life. I'm sure she's smiling right now because so is the devil on her side. But remember, in the long run, the devil is not going to win. God's going to win. He's going to crush you under his heel. So to get her away, my old mother-in-law would go to the McDonald's, get herself a couple of biscuit and sausage with those little jelly packets, you know, and then always, never will she ever miss her coffee experience. I don't even drink coffee in the morning. But I'm so glad that she's getting all the comforts towards, you know, the last few years of her life. I'm glad that she's getting the things that she wants. I haven't seen the children in 3 years, and you think she's going to change her way so that I can see my children again? Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. So if there's vlogs in the future where you can see my children, then you know my mother-in-law showed some grace, because she's going to have to show grace before this is all over, because that's what Jesus wants her to do.
How may I help you?
So that guy's like, well, I thought COVID was gone. Because, you know, I asked him to close the door to do the proper drop off, how we're supposed to do it. No, it's it's not gone. COVID is not gone. Doesn't just go away just like that. It takes some time.
Well, we're all the same.
Alright, so we dropped that one off in Louisville. We're headed back to South Lake. I'm going to stop off at a 7-Eleven and try this 3 for 3 thing. Well, we went ahead and went with a 3 for 3. He said 1 slice of pizza counted as 2 slices. I guess that's part of it. It was $3.36. I got this taquito right here. I don't know if this counts, but I got this chicken thing. I don't know what it is, some kind of chicken thing, and then a drink. So I guess we'll try the first part of the 3 for 3, which is the chicken stick. I'm gonna get these pizzas right here. And here it comes. Here it comes. And then, you know, it's like a little taco Monterey Jack thing. And then to top it all off, I got some of the pomegranate vitamin water. Eating like a champ. So I'm listening to Film Spotty. And they're coming up with a reason why there's another Batman as opposed to not having one. I'm talking about the new The Batman. Supposedly it's supposed to be really good.
Like the rainbow one, and a couple others.
Alright, cool. Thanks. So I guess Buco, the Beepo, is where I'm at. Oh yeah, here it is. It's over this way. So they have a virtual store, Buco does, that does Mariah Carey cookies. Like chocolate chunk, double chocolate, some kind of rainbow cookie. But that's what I got right here. And it took them a while because I had to wait for the cookies to cool off. Because the guy wanted a certain type of cookie. And he had to get his way, so I had to wait there for quite a bit of time. Well, not too long, but... Anyway. Well, I picked up some hot tea. They offer hot tea here at the La Quinta. Pretty nice one in Louisville. Can't see it right there. And I forgot to say welcome to the Please Subscribe show. Please subscribe. It's part of the Please Subscribe show. Pretty good. go to Fuel City, and everybody's talking about gas prices all the way from Florida to New Jersey. Some people, well, everyone's paying over $4. So everything's been $4.09. So we'll be at Fuel City in a minute. Mark IV Parkway exit closed. It's remaining closed. So if anybody is wondering, we'll be there in just a minute. Well, kids, looks like they got it up to 409, even down Fuel City. Well, we're dealing with 409, but they still have tacos. Hey, look who's there. Hey, Fuel City cow. Why don't you move? Well, I've looked around. Almost every gas station from Fort Worth to Dallas is pretty much 409. Maybe past 20 or 30 of them. They're all about 409. Some a little bit higher. Anyway, that's all I have for you tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to please subscribe. Tell your friends about the show. It's important. Yeah, I mentioned the whole thing about basically a godly woman or a woman that doesn't go after her husband and force them, to struggle even more. A divorce is very traumatizing on a person, especially when it comes down to abandonment. And that's exactly what my wife did. And it's a very disgusting thing to do to a person. But then to go after them continuously and not allow them to see the children is even more traumatizing. There's only so much a person can really take. And I hate to say this, but there's no way that a person that does that could be possibly right in the eyes of God. Our country is not really on the right track, and it hasn't been, I think, maybe from the 70s. I don't think our country's really completely recovered from the Vietnam War. And the whole Gerald Ford going after our... I'm Gerald Ford, and I hate good-looking, struggling fathers. And the whole Gerald Ford going after our generation, this whole child support thing it doesn't bother the rich person, right? But it very much separates the class system from the rich from the poor, because the poor hurts them immensely and they deal with it every day. But for the rich, all they got to do is just send the payment in. And the poor have to struggle immensely to give them what they want. And that's just saying that the rich are exactly the same as the poor, and that's not necessarily true. I don't know if Gerald Ford was thinking about that. I don't know if he was thinking about the things that people go through.
I wasn't thinking about the poor. I don't care about the poor. That's why I was Republican. Yeah.
And then to call someone a deadbeat parent. The deadbeat parent is the one that betrays the other parent and then asks the government to press down on the shoulders of that struggling father. And I know she wants to make it all more Christ-like. Oh, this will turn you closer to this will turn you closer to God, right? Well, that's not the version of God that she is assuming with Christianity. Jesus is a God of mercy and of grace, right? He would never instruct the women to do this to other men and other husbands. She would never instruct them to do this. But I tell you, it's not going to stop. Not until someone puts their foot down and says, this is wrong. So anyway, if you are a wife out there and you're considering to do this to your husband, think twice. It's a horrible thing to do. Reason with them, talk with them. I surely would have paid her what she wanted as long as she reasoned with me and talked with me. But, also another thing is if you leave your husband and they move on and find someone else, that's what happens when you leave your husband. That's what happens. And also another thing about marriage is if you make the promise, keep the promise, regardless of what happens. You know, you can sink or you can swim together, one of the two. And at times even thrive together. But whatever you do, stay together. Don't do this. This is not a life for anyone. Anyway, y'all have a good night. Please subscribe. Sorry I have to get so harsh and dark about all of this, but the thing is that there is evil out there, and she knows better. And also to keep the children from me. What exactly do I do to deserve that anyway? I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. So I like to chronicle my life on YouTube for other people to see. Well, maybe that's what God wants. They don't know what God wants. Her people and the people that she's behind is telling her to do this stuff. They don't know the mind of God, and they never will. They don't know. I don't even know if they really know God. I don't know. They may claim to, but usually the people that are claiming to know God are probably the ones that probably don't even really know God. Why would they be claiming to know God? They have the authority and say, oh, well, I know God, so I can do this to you. Well, think twice. There is a time to really pay a price. And the woman that's behind this will pay the real price. That will happen. Good night. Well, I've been kind of upset today because of a lot of things that have been going on with family members of, my ex-wife and mother-in-law that have gone kind of after me and things. So what I've decided to do is I decided to go ahead and finish up the werewolf screenplay. And I bought some software not very long ago, and I still remember the characters. I still have everything kind of lined up. I remember the ending. I know how the ending is going. And I was working on all that at the Carrollton place. I lived at the mansions at Sunset Ridge. Well, since the move, I had to move into this new place, which isn't exactly the same, and it doesn't really have like an alcove for a writing desk. But what I did was I set up kind of like a temporary writing desk, and I have to move my stuff over there a while. And, when I have a guest come over, then I have to move everything kind of to the side. Mom came by, and I thought maybe she was going to get a writing desk. But so I've been storing kind of pretty much the laptop over in this direction, kind of in its own little alcove, which is kind of like in the very corner of the apartment. And what I've decided to do now is move everything over to the kitchenette area. So there's pretty much the laptop, and I've moved it right there where, I guess the kitchen desk is. And if I'm not mistaken, that looks like one of the screenplays. I don't know if it's the one, I don't think it's the werewolf one, but I'm going to pull that one up. That one's actually called Grace. So I finally pulled it up, and here is the werewolf screenplay that includes many vloggers. What I think is funny is it actually opens what's known as the Gothic Vloggers in Marfa, Texas. They're kind of based loosely on Grim Life Collective. I don't know if you ever heard of Grim Life Collective. It's run by a guy named Michael, and they're out in Hollywood right now. It's just based on them because I know that they're kind of Gothic in a way. I thought it'd be cool to open with Gothic vloggers being killed by the werewolf in Marfa, Texas, and they're doing kind of a James Dean vlog here. Basically, I think where I'm ending it right now, or not ending it, but where I'm picking up from where I was, is a conversation that Rainey and Grace have together. I don't know if you followed my earlier vlogs about Grace, which is the name of the screenplay. Grace was a former MMA, mixed martial artist, and he was also a former Ultimate Fighting champion. He's actually, just to not to give out any spoilers, but he's not the actual werewolf. You find out later that it's actually Rainey, his common law wife, which is her full name is Rainey Love, and she's kind of like this rocker that never really completely made it in the rock scene. There's also a character named Gerald Oldman III. Here's one of his lines here. Usually I simply bury my kill. She could be a problem. John Blacksmith is also a character that lives in the Portland area on the West Coast. Gerald Oldman III actually lives in the UK, so there's a connection to the UK. In a lot of werewolf films, there are connections to the UK. And they work together, and they're both vloggers. He vlogs out of the UK, United Kingdom, and John Blacksmith vlogs in Portland. And they both pretty much believe in the myth of the lycanthrope, which is basically the werewolf. And from watching the fighting, or from watching mixed martial arts on television, Ultimate Fighting Championship, Gerald Oldman III begins to believe that Grace, whose name is Grace Lippin, is actually a werewolf, and he's close, but not on the ball because of a tattoo that he has, and because of his strength in the ring and things like that. It's kind of it's a little quirky, but he decides also to go after him, and one of the main reasons is because there has been mutilations in the area of Barksville, Texas, which is a fictional place that I made up, and the mutilations haven't been explained, and it's something that Gerald Oldman III picks up on, and it's a rumor that there possibly is a werewolf that is living in Barksville, Texas. And Gerald does the math eventually and pinpoints it to Grace. Almost gets it right, but it's actually Rainey. And Grace doesn't even know that Rainey is actually a werewolf. And a werewolf is a shapeshifter, so they're not always a werewolf. They're human most of the time. There are many dialogue scenes, or there's many scenes where Rainey talks about taking these long walks, and she also has these nightmares and things like that. So I thought about going ahead and finishing this screenplay, even though it's taken me a long time to kind of, in a way, get in that writer mode. I've been thinking about it quite a bit. And also, if you watch some of my vlogs, I talk about the ages of the moon and things like that. So we'll go ahead and finish that up, and hopefully maybe I'll be able to do a reading of it eventually. And also, I think last night to be honest, the reason why I'm continuing this screenplay is because last night I was asleep on the couch, which is right over here. And I woke up, and I'm really sometimes not bad with pronunciations, but Guillermo del Toro. Okay, that's the best I'm going to do. He was being interviewed on a YouTube show, and it just kind of came up, and he was talking about The Shape of Water. He was also talking about just his choices of things that he does as a filmmaker. And I also realized that he's come from a big background of makeup and stuff. I know that he's probably done a lot of writing because in his early career, Del Toro actually wrote a biography about Alfred Hitchcock. And this was when he was still in film school in Mexico, or in the Mexico area. And I know that he eventually migrated to Hollywood and became a makeup artist. And then after 10 years of being a makeup artist, he finally was given $30 million to do a film called Mimic with Mia Servino. And from there is when his career took off, and he's had such a great career. And I know it all probably started with words. He didn't really mention that in the interview, but it gave me some type of weird inspiration listening to him speak about his passions towards filmmaking and things like that. These vlogs that we do are not exactly cinematic. They're not going to probably win in Cannes Film Festival. They might, I don't really know, but I know that some of the vlogs out there today that do very well, and some of them that do well may not use a lot of words, and then some do use words. But the writer always uses words, and that's what a screenplay is constructed out of. It's more of kind of a guide or instruction manual on how to make the film. But it doesn't mean that you have to follow the script completely. But it surely does help, and it gives the actors a great chance to stay on kind of what's called a super objective, to stay on course, and it gives them kind of a focus to bring in an actual story that has, meaning and purpose and things like that. That's what a script does. You don't have to use one, but you certainly can. So we're going to see if we can finish this, and y'all have a good night. And I hope, everything that you do as an artist, every vlog you create, every song you create, everything that you write, every poem you write, every screenplay you write, any type of short story you write, or a novel, anything that you work on is what's called an asset. Whether it makes money or not, it's still an asset. It becomes something of a possibility that can represent your possible dream. And that can turn into something that's financial worthy, that you may use that money to help others and things like that. That's what I always feel as an artist. It's the money that you earn, you can give to others and help. And also, of course, use for other projects as well. I have never written a horror film per se, or a werewolf film before. And why I suddenly did it is a mystery. But I have been a fan when I was younger of Stephen King and things like that. So I don't know if that's coming off, if that's rubbing off of me from whenever I used to read Stephen King stuff. But Cycle of the Werewolf and Silver Bullet is one of my favorite werewolf movies, which was written by Stephen King. It was based on a book called Cycle of the Werewolf, which I did read a little bit of. So here we go. And we're actually on page 116, which is already well over an hour in the film. Probably more like an hour and a half or so, because every page represents a minute. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and continue working on this. Y'all have a good night.